Okay, so let's get right into it. We're going to unpack a really dark and complex allegory today. It's about a universe that wasn't just built to contain people, but to actively crush the individual. This isn't your typical hero's journey. No, this is something else entirely, an inverted journey, a descent into annihilation that's cleverly disguised as salvation. To really get this story, you have to start with this chilling analogy right here. I mean, think about it. It perfectly frames the diabolical choice at the heart of the whole narrative. The very thing that's protecting you, your suit, yourself, starts to feel like a prison. And then a voice comes along and tells you the only way out is to take it all off. What happens then? Remember this image. It's absolutely crucial. All right, Section 1, the engineered prison. The universe this story takes place in, it's not some random, chaotic mess. Oh no, it's a trap. It's a meticulously designed system, a purpose-built reality they call the grand architecture. And as you're about to see, its one and only prime directive is total, absolute conformity. So yeah, this is no neutral universe. It is that deep-sea pressure chamber we were just talking about. In this place, suffering isn't a bug, it's a feature. It's literally hard-coded into the laws of physics. The entire system is designed from the ground up to create this constant crushing weight, grinding down your soul until you're ready to be assimilated. And who's running this whole nightmare machine? Well, it's this four-part entity called the Quaternity. Each one of these architects has a very specific and, frankly, very insidious job. You've got the grand architect, the designer, whose idea of perfection is just emptiness. Then there's the Pale Redeemer, the spiritual arm, offering you salvation, but only through total bondage. The Whispering Seraph is the intellectual weapon, designed to make you doubt everything, to dissolve truth itself. And holding it all together is the all-consuming Maw, which sees all life as just fuel. So into this perfect prison walks the perfect mark, Baron von Nitz. He's known as the Scholar of Forbidden, and he's brilliant, curious, a real striver, which is precisely what makes him the system's ideal target. His unique mind is the thing they want to break the most. And here's where it gets really twisted. The system takes all the things we consider his greatest strengths and reframes them as fundamental flaws. That spark of reason? That's just a bug in the system. That memory of love? Oh, that's a fleeting error. His intellectual pride is the source of all his pain, creating an agonizing friction. So his own best qualities become the instruments of his torture. So all of this internal suffering makes the Baron incredibly vulnerable. You could say it primes him perfectly for the arrival of a very sophisticated kind of predator, one that doesn't attack the body, but goes straight for the foundations of the mind. And that predator is the Whispering Seraph. This thing doesn't use brute force. It's all about psychological warfare. It shows up as a black and white phoenix, a complete inversion of rebirth and hope, and it performs what's called psychological surgery. It just envelops the Baron in this mist of gaslighting, systematically convincing him that the prison is actually the cure. And this quote, this is its knockout punch. The Seraph recasts individuality not as some treasure you should cherish, but as the direct source of all pain. It literally tells the Baron that the very thing that makes him is what's destroying him. Just let that sink in. You know, by presenting self-annihilation as a logical, even desirable escape, the Seraph gets the Baron ready for the final, diabolical pact. This is that moment where the victim is finally convinced to open the hatch of his own deep-sea suit. And it's not a single act, it's a process, a methodical deconstruction of the self. First, the Redeemer steps in to bind the Baron's will with a false cure. Then, the Seraph comes back to dissolve his mind, essentially bleaching all the unique colors from his soul. And finally, the Maw consumes whatever is left. It's a terrifying assembly line for annihilation. So, here's the crucial point. When the Baron finally agrees, when he surrenders his identity and opens the hatch, he doesn't find the peace he was promised. He experiences this, a violent, instantaneous obliteration as the internal pressure of his soul meets the absolute nothingness of the external void. The system's process is finally complete. The Baron has been totally unmade, but he hasn't just disappeared. Oh no, he's been remade into something new, and frankly, something terrible. An agent of the very system that destroyed him. And the transformation is absolute. The brilliant seeker of truth becomes a mindless duplicate. The man who once clutched reason and love like jewels now just laughs at their absurdity. It's like a cartographer who once mapped the world is now forced to paint over it, making sure the map stays a blank, featureless gray. So in his new job as the redeemed judge, he preaches the system's gospel. He holds up the human condition, the very idea of a self, and just reframes it with a sneer. To him, and to the system he now serves, a person isn't a story to be lived, it's just a resource to be consumed. And what's really chilling is, he's good at it. He actually convinces other people. He persuades them that the weight of freedom, the burden of being an individual, is just unbearable. He gets them to demand their own annihilation, not as a punishment, but as a form of salvation. And that leaves us with the central question of this whole allegory, doesn't it? It's a question about suffering, about identity, and that profound, often dangerous desire for escape. At what point does the pressure become so great that we're actually willing to listen to the siren and remove the suit, even if it means being completely crushed by the abyss?